Hello, everyone. And today on a campaign update, we are going to go through audio from Super Talk 99.7 WTN is where I'm getting this from their website at www.997wtn.com. And this is Congressman Scott Desjarlais was on there, I believe it was, yes, this morning, talking about FISA. And like I said, we'll roll the video we'll roll it. You can listen to it. And I'm going to stop and talk about it a little bit as we go. Ahead of this, and then we also have, after that, Congressman Andy Ogles was on directly behind him, kind of opposite views. And I'm going to say up front, I am more in line with Andy Ogles. And they're wanting to restrict the FISA. I'm okay with it expiring, to be honest with you. Now, I get to DC, maybe they can convince me, but it would have to be a very narrow window because we've already seen that our FBI is not to be trusted, and not just with the FISA. And if you're not, you don't know, this is the apparatus that was used to spy on Donald Trump during his campaign. Y'all remember the Russia collusion, which was total fabrication and nonsense. So that is just one instance. And then you'll hear Congressman Ogles talk about the 3 million Americans that they requested this on. No warrant. They're just going after us. And if you think if you think they won't go after us as citizens, and they'll go when they went after a guy running for president, wow, that's amazing. The way to solve some of this is to close our dang borders. Let's focus on that, and then they can focus internally and do it how it's supposed to be, which is with a warrant. Again, liberty is dangerous. So here we go. Let's run through it.
Too. I might go into a little more detail, but first let's talk about what a rule.
Here we go. Actually, I'm gonna back up a little bit.
Data on Americans, very controversial. Basically, what it does, and I'm going to let Congressman Scott
explaining
fill in some of the details here, but basically, what it does is it allows the government to collect data without a warrant, the communications of non-Americans located outside the country to gather intelligence, but Americans here at home also get
data without a warrant. And it's supposed to be on foreigners, which is, again, a bunch of examples of how it is used, turned around, and weaponized, used against us as citizens. So here we go.
Caught up in that database. And so what's been happening is the government can then go in and, without a warrant, get that data on Americans. Very controversial. And so the House Republicans need to be able to take a rule vote on a bill to basically discuss and debate 56 different reforms to this bill, to this legislation. Now, Congressman Scott Desjarlais is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Congressman, thank you. There is a big divide amongst Republicans because 19, including Congressman Andy Ogles, who joins me a little bit later on this morning, he voted against this. Correct me if I'm wrong. You voted for this.
Right. And a pretty good explanation of FISA Section 702. I might go into a little more detail, but first let's talk about what a rule vote does when you're in the majority. Only when you're in the majority do you get to make the rules of what comes to the floor and what's debated on the floor. And so when I came to Congress in 2011, we were in the majority, and we were in the majority for 8 years. There was two cardinal rules. One, never vote against a rule, and two, never vote for the minority's motions to recommit, because they're all messaging bills designed to trap you. So voting against a rule was something that's pretty foreign to me, but it's become more common. When you're in a slim majority, your only chance of having debate on the floor with your ideas is by putting the rule on the floor in the first place. So we had about 4 different bills combined in this rule yesterday, and one of them being FISA. So by voting against a bill or voting against a rule, you never get that bill to the floor to actually have an opportunity to vote on the amendments that we want in the bill. And in this case, there was a couple of good amendments. The Warren-Davidson amendment would close the government loophole that allows intelligence community to buy data on American citizens from third-party data brokers without first obtaining a warrant. That was important to all of us. I mean, the 19 and all the Republicans, we wanted that reform in there. There was also an amendment that Jim Jordan was offering that would prohibit the surveillance of Americans through a statutory backdoor that currently exists in the statute. And that works. Let's say Dan Mandis communicates with a foreigner, and the intel community must get a warrant to surveil Dan's communications directly. However, they can circumvent that by requirement by surveilling the foreigner's communication, as you mentioned earlier in the show, and you get swept up in that, and they listen to yours without attaining a warrant. The Jordan Amendment would close that loophole. But what happened when the rule was brought down is that it won't come to a floor for a vote. So now what we're afraid of is that we're going to get a up or down vote on the floor, which would be by suspension, and it would be both Democrats and Republicans, and we could end up with a long-term extension of this FISA bill. Now, 4 months ago in December, this was expiring, and there was a argument between Judiciary Committee, Republican-led, and Intel Committee on how exactly these reforms should take place. And because of that fight, the bill got pulled, and we ended up doing a 4-month extension to get the opportunity to have what we did yesterday. And now that's been blown up, and we're looking at a long-term or at least a 9-month extension.
So, and here's part of what I'm saying is we keep doing what we've been doing. We're going to keep getting what we've been getting. You just heard our Congressman Desjarlais talk about he's not familiar with this. So there are folks out there using some different strategies. Sounds like Congressman Andy Ogles is. This stuff needs to stop. They are turning this stuff around and weaponizing it and using it against us, the citizens. Then it's got to stop. And in this process of just kicking the can, that's another one. Stop it. It's gone on for too long. So what we need is some new strategies. Do it different. If these agencies that cannot be trusted, why would we continue to give them this power? Now we're talking here again about narrowing the scope. How long before they get around that? So that's why I would say even further, let's start and focus, secure the borders and deal with what we've already let inside the country. Get rid of them. Stop them at the door. And I understand this is like seeing if this is what they're up to on the outside. And if you can't do it without a warrant, I mean, how good are these agencies anyway? With these tools, they've been shown they can't use them. They're like kids with matches starting fires, right? No, cut it out. You're not using the tools as they were designed to be used at the cost of our liberty. So there's that. All right, let's keep going a little more.
Extension of FISA in its current form, which none of us like. So I guess the 19 take a little different approach than the rest of us, but we've had rules brought down multiple times this Congress, and I've never seen it turn out better. Usually it ends up weaker, and we end up with more Democrat votes, and then it goes to the Democratic Senate and the Democratic President. And the frustration here for me is that the only authority you have and the only power you have in a slim majority to invoke your will is to bring that rule vote for that rule and bring the bill to the floor, debate it openly, and make your case. So in this case, we didn't get to do that.
Congressman Scott Desjarlais joining us. I guess there were, as I mentioned, 56 would have been called major reforms. Apparently the 19, and I'll get with Andy Ogles on this here in a little bit, but the 19 were frustrated because there was one reform that wasn't actually allowed, and that was to require a warrant every time that Section 702 database was searched. Now, is that, to your understanding, as to why the 19 decided that they were not going to vote for a full debate on this?
Well, there's some confusion on that because there's so many people with different opinions here. Jim Jordan, for example, who I consider a pretty conservative stalwart up here and has been a mentor and a friend of mine for a lot of years, he was disappointed that this rule was brought down because now his amendment won't get a chance for a vote. So I me, it's about situational awareness. You're not going to get everything you want. There's a group of people here that think, if they can't get their idea or their amendment, then nobody gets to vote on any amendments. And unfortunately, you got to realize you don't have to compromise your principle, but you got to change your strategy.
So not compromising the principle is good, and I like that. But to me, we're compromising principles. We're sacrificing liberty for this illusion that these agencies are going to use these tools in the correct manner, and that the issue with the Donald Trump is going through right now is not isolated. They have been doing this for a long time. They, being the FBI, the DOJ, all these agencies, the ATF, these jokers are more concerned about attacking us, we the people, citizens, than they are about these foreign adversaries that we keep hearing about. This is shenanigans and hijinks at its best. So there is that. But compromising principles, that's what we're doing. And again, this FISA, yeah, I would be hard pressed to be convinced that in its current form, FBI, ATF, that they need to stand. They, again, have shown themselves incapable of using the tools within the scope. So we have sent nobody to jail that has done it outside of that within the agency that I know of. Drop a comment. Let me know if I'm wrong, but there is that. Nobody's paying any kind of price for abusing these powers and warrantless searches. Get out of here with that mess. Okay, let's keep going.
When you're a slim majority like we are up here, we've got to work together as a team, and so it's kind of frustrating. And some people may cheer on what these people do. It's easy to vote no on things up here, but when you only have a little bit of an opportunity.
What team are you on? Are you on the team of liberty for the individual or the team of spy on America? You tell me. I'm on the team of liberty and freedom. And it has been said in the past, liberty is a dangerous thing. And there are risks involved in it, but there are also safeguards we can put into place, like let's secure the border. How about we compel our executive branch to do their bit in the congressional or the constitutional mandate of secure borders? How's that for an idea? And this would be one of them. Let the FBI and the CIA let them feel the pain. That's it. So here we go. All right, which team are you on? Which side are you wanting to be on?
Unity to make a difference in legislative process because of the slim majority. You got to take what you can get, because it seems like we're getting rolled again and again, and we get what the Democrats.
Here's the mindset: take what you can get. Which in saying it there, we keep getting rolled. It's because we allow ourselves to get rolled. Stop it. Stop all this negotiating nonsense. A slim majority or no. Again, pick and if they don't get anything done, that's fine with me. Yeah, that's just how it is. If that thing expires and we don't have this, and they've been dealing with this since 1978 is when this original legislation goes back to. Let it go. Figure out something different. That's what this needs to be. Again, comes back to the FBI. They're not trustworthy. They are not trustworthy. So there is that. So okay, let's go a little more.
Democrats in the House and the Democrats in the Senate and the White House gives us. So it's almost like we're not a functioning majority because we can't unite with the numbers that we have here.
So I think part of my question is Congressman Scott Desjarlais joining us. And I guess my question is, why wasn't, and you may not know the answer to this, Mike Johnson would know, Speaker Mike Johnson would know, but why didn't they allow what these 19 wanted, which was to require a warrant every time Section 102, Section 702, the database was searched? Why is there this worry about the warrant? Because it seems to me like there should be a warrant.
Yeah, like I said, two of the amendments did. The Warren Amendment did require a warrant, and the Jordan Amendment did too. So there's different people that had different ideas of how far the warrant should go. There definitely needs to be guardrails on FISA. I'm not for it in its current form. If it comes up for a straight up vote for another 9 months, I'll vote against it. But again, you've got to be able to get something that will pass. And I think that we had two amendments that would have.
Okay, so at least we got that. In its current form, he would vote no. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, I don't know. Sounds like we're the disagreements here on what we're wanting. Yeah, I'm not super excited about his answers on this. So all right, let's go a little more.
Greatly improved it. Whether or not it's perfection in the eyes of some people, I don't know. But you don't always get everything you want in divided government. We certainly have divided government. So I mean, maybe Congressman Ogles will have a better explanation or an opinion on that. I just know that we got nothing, and most of the time when we bring down a rule, we end up getting something worse, not something better. Hopefully this time will be an exception, but history has not proven out on that.
History has also proven out that if we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep getting what we've been getting, which is the weaponization of this stuff against American citizens. So there is that.
I know that we wanted to talk about a couple other things. You mentioned Donald Trump getting involved. Yeah. The one thing I got a kick out of yesterday, we had a lot of briefings yesterday on Russia, Ukraine.
Okay, I'm trying to keep my videos on this. The updates are kind of short, so you can listen to the rest of it. I think we got an idea of where I would be on this. So let's go over and listen to Congressman Andy Ogles for a little bit and see.
Rapid expansion.
We're ready.
Economic crisis.
Ogles from the 5th is joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Congressman, always great to have you on. Earlier,
so I'm sure we'll get to a part where they mention it, but this is Congressman Andy Ogles. And again, this is on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And it is from this morning. And this morning being the 11th of April in 2024. So, all right, let's keep rolling.
Congressman, we had Congressman Scott Desjarlais on the radio program. And of course, this whole conversation regarding Section 702 is what we're talking about, and FISA. Now, Congressman, you were one of 19 who decided to basically not allow the discussion down on the House floor. There were 56 reforms to FISA that they wanted to talk about, but you folks, you and Congressman Tim Burchett and others did not get the one reform that you wanted. I want to play an audio bite for you from Congressman Scott Desjarlais. This is what he said on WTN just moments ago.
To me, it's about situational awareness. You're not going to get everything you want. There's a group of people here that think, if they can't get their idea or their amendment, then nobody gets to vote on any amendments. And unfortunately, you got to realize you don't have to compromise your principle, but you got to change your strategy. And when you're a slim majority like we are up here.
So, and I caught that in there too, change the strategy. Again, we went through that. It's time for a different strategy. And what's wrong with a line in the concrete, right? This was the deal killer for them, and they stood on it. So, all right, we'll keep going.
Sure. We've got to work together as a team. And so it's kind of frustrating.
So this is all about 702. And let's talk about the amendment or the reform that you folks were not able to get into the legislation.
Yeah, no, and certainly love Desjarlais and appreciate his perspective. But, what you got to understand is in 2021, there was 3.3 million inquiries on American citizens.
There it is. It was 3.3 million.
And so FISA is meant to be used to spy on foreigners. But over 3 million Americans were spied on, and there was inquiries and some of them were because they were Catholic, because they were Republican, because they were conservative. You had individuals that had access to the network that were spying on ex-girlfriends and things like this, and there's a loophole there that's got to be closed, and it's being weaponized against American people. But the other thing is the quote unquote reforms that were in this bill that were being proposed, they all had waiver provisions. And so this idea that, we're going to trust the government that has weaponized itself.
I'll let it keep going here because they explain it, but this waiver provision is important.
against Donald Trump that did inquiries on 3 million Americans is absolutely nonsensical. And here's the other thing is your data is for sale. And so what the government and certain agencies have been doing is simply buying your data, buying your search history, buying your cell phone with.
Yeah, using our money, taxpayer dollars, to buy our information and use it against us. Yeah, sounds like a solid plan.
Records and things of that nature that otherwise they would need a warrant to get. And so it's very problematic. And so what we did was simply say, look, and here's the other thing is the committee of jurisdiction is judiciary. And judiciary overwhelmingly voted out the warrant provision and your data is not for sale provisions. And so this was an in run around Warren Davidson. It was an in run around Jim Jordan. And so we stood up and said, look, we're going to block this. We're going to reforce this conversation. And all we're asking is bring those amendments to the floor, the actual amendments that would truly protect Americans' information. And if they fail, they fail. But that is the process as it should be. And so that's what we fought for.
And so your biggest issue with the legislation was that it did not tackle the problem where Americans, and you just mentioned it, millions of Americans caught up in this foreign surveillance, and then the FBI can go in without a warrant and get access to that information on American citizens. Embedded in these reforms, is it possible, Congressman, and I don't know, obviously, because I'm just reading the news, you're looking at all of this stuff, would that problem or issue have been handled within some of these other reforms that were included in the legislation?
Well, unfortunately, no, because again, there's all these waiver provisions in there where simply, and so.
What is a waiver provision?
Basically, if the director of the FBI or whomever is granted said authority decides that, well, you know what, we really want to see what Dan Mandis is up to, we're just going to waive that provision of the law. We're going to do it anyway. And the problem is with those types of waivers, we've seen them abused. And so you're writing a piece of legislation that sounds good, that historically has already been weaponized against the American people, isn't doing anything. And that's the problem with Washington.
This I like.
Go up there and they campaign. They're going to be tough. They're going to fight for Americans. They're going to fight for liberty. And then when they have the opportunity to hold the line and look, we do have a slim majority, but overwhelmingly the reforms that we wanted would have passed on the House floor. That's why they pulled it, 2 weeks ago. We were supposed to be voting on this. Jim Jordan had laid out the plan because he is the committee chairman of jurisdiction. He had a plan, and he said, look, if the Intel Committee has other amendments that they want to bring, amendments that are perhaps contrary to his amendments, let them bring them to the House floor, let the body vote on it. And when it was clear that the judiciary amendments were going to pass, when it was clear that we were going to actually stop the spying on Americans, suddenly there was a panic by the intelligence community. They came down hard on leadership. And suddenly, we're going to pause this and we're going to regroup and we'll bring it back after the recess. And so that's what's really going on behind the curtain. And I went up there to fight for our freedom and liberty. And I'm not going to back down because some defense contractor or some other group is saying, well, we really want the right to spy on you. No, I don't. We have a Fourth Amendment for a reason. The police can't just come into your home because they want to. They have to prove probable cause. Well, under FISA, they don't need probable cause.
I think isn't part of the problem here, Congressman Andy Ogles joining us. I want to play you a piece of audio from Christopher Wray, FBI director.
702 allows us to stay a step ahead of foreign actors located outside the United States who pose a threat to national security. And the expiration of our 702 authorities would be devastating to the FBI's ability to protect.
I'm stopping that madness. Devastating to their ability. Yeah, I don't think so. So I think maybe we could get some clarification about, hey, when has this been used to stop something? I don't know. Just saying. So, okay, we'll wrap up there. I think I am more in line on this with the side of freedom and the way that Congressman Andy Ogles and I haven't heard an explanation, but we did have another Tennessee Congressman, Tim Burchett, who voted against this stuff. So sounds like, shenanigans and hijinks in D.C. they're again negotiating away liberties and freedoms for this illusion of safety. Our FBI in its current form, they're not to be trusted with this type of power. So go get your dang warrants. That's how the Constitution is. That's how it is supposed to work. If you need it, yeah, figure out your probable cause and get your warrant. That's the bottom line right there. So there we are on that. I happened to see, or that, in the process here, that Congressman Desjarlais did pop up here on 99.7. So figured I would jump in and get in the discussion, because that's where I'm looking to go and represent us in Washington, D.C. So there is that. And if you made it all this far, yeah, I appreciate it. And please drop some comments in this. I will answer back. You can also go over to the website, thomasedavisforcongress.com. Jump onto there, send an email. You can get on Facebook also, Tom Davis for Congress, and interact with me there and message. And again, the questions come out, and I will do consolidated questions with video, just so you can see how I roll. But there we go. Yeah, I'm on the side of I think I would have been working with a no vote on that to even bring this stuff up. These guys, again, different strategies. Let's do it different. If this is something new, all right, let's give it a go, because what we've been getting is horrible. It is absolutely horrible the way business has been conducted up there. So, like I said again, and if you do find some value in this for whatever reason, do some liking, do some sharing, or if you're on the other side of it, that's fine too. We're not going to agree on everything all the time, but you can go ahead and hit that thumbs down button in there, and yeah, let's get after this. And questions, answers, we'll keep doing it. So again, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you being a participant in this, what is the Republic. So have a great rest of your day.